Hey gamers! In my last video, I said that the Spirit Talisman boosts all counterattack damage with pierce weapons. Now while that's sort of correct, I should have done more research and explained the counterattacks themselves. Many people get counterattacks confused with the guard counterattacks described in the tutorial. Despite what their names might suggest, the two are completely unrelated, hence the game providing different talismans for them. If we read the description of the Spirit Talisman, we can find the following explanation. Enhances the counterattacks that are unique to thrusting weapons. It's easy to read this and assume that you can counterattack with any weapon, and that only pierce weapons will receive a buff from the talisman. In fact, that's exactly what I thought when I made my previous video. And I was wrong. Counterattacks can only happen when you deal pierce damage to an enemy. And when you do a counterattack, the damage of that attack is increased by 30%. This means that while a short sword is labelled as standard and pierce, not all of its attacks will be able to qualify as a counterattack. In fact, the label you see on the stats page is just that, a label given by the developers. You'll quickly find out that many of the weapons in the game don't line up with what the label suggests. On screen now is a clip of my character using an axe. No matter how many times I swing, my weapon will never do a counterattack as it lacks the ability to deal pierce damage. If we compare this to a rapier, the difference is obvious. Whenever I attack at the correct moment, the damage is increased by 30%. In this case, it raises from 82 to 106. The timing seems to be different for every attack, with some enemies being much easier to counterattack than others. If we add the Spirit Talisman's effect on top, the damage of the counterattack is increased by the expected 15%, from the already boosted 106 to 123. The slight inaccuracy in numbers here comes from decimals being included in the damage calculations, even though the game never displays them to the player. Next up is the short bow. As you would expect, standard arrows deal pierce damage and receive the same damage buffs as the rapier, even though the weapon, the short bow, was never given its own label. And in my testing with mixed damage type bows and arrows, I found out that only the physical damage part was being increased. The math here is a bit of a mess, and I'm not going to say that I understand it, but the finding can be easily confirmed if you test with the Erdtree short bow and golden arrows. This combination deals almost exclusively holy damage, and barely gets a buff from counterattacks. So, moving on from here, some clear exceptions to the labels given by the developers are the Cross Naginata and the Morning Star. For the Naginata, the first light attack in the combo deals slash damage and therefore won't register as a counterattack, despite the weapon being labelled as pierce only. The Morning Star is the other way around, being labelled as a strike weapon. Since its running heavy attack deals pierce damage, you can still do a counterattack if you time it correctly. Now, sadly, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully my explanations made sense, and if there's anything else in Elden Ring you would like explained, please let me know down in the comments. But until next time, stay safe, adopt a chicken or two, and have a wonderful day. Boop.